Brand new Forza Motorsport gameplay footage, and this is unlike anything we have seen before from Forza Motorsport. This might change your opinion on Forza. We're going to find out in this video because some of the things are, well, not what I was expecting. Now, we've got Forza Motorsport on the left, we've got Gran Turismo 7 on the right. Before we start, I want to say a massive thank you to Forza Erwin on Twitter. Incredible guy, he keeps tagging me in all the stuff he's doing. He went to Gamescom and recorded this footage. Please, please, please go to his YouTube channel, Racing From Home. Drop him a subscription. He deserves it. He went all the way to record this footage, but he's also a Forza expert. He's a bigger Forza expert than me, so if you like Forza, you won't regret subscribing there. Do it for me, do it for Forza Erwin, and drop him a subscription. But you can see here, on the left-hand side Forza, on the right-hand side GT7, the first thing is we have that classic Forza movement in the car. Look at Mugello here in the Audi RS5. The way the car sort of like bounces around. Now from a third person perspective, this looks really good. When I went and drove a Toyota Supra on a circuit in Las Vegas, this is exactly what I was feeling. The weight transfer, every movement you make on the wheel, and you can see the driver there on the wheel inside, that has an effect on the suspension, the weight transfer, and you feel like you're bucketed around. Yes, it is a Maserati MC20 on the right-hand side. That is a car that would be lower down suspension, stiffer suspension, but you can still see there's just not a lot of roll, there's not a lot of drama as you turn in, which you would really expect. Now that is going to be different when we go into the cockpit camera. But just before we do, I want to show you here another different part between Forza and G7. Look at Forza at the end, you see your battle scars on your car, and it's just generally a more exciting and celebratory place to be after you completed your race. Gran Turismo is just sort of like really moody and conservative, so I wanted to show you that. Really interesting to see the difference in styles between Forza and G7. But here we're going to go in cockpit view, and we've got PSVR 2 on the right, by the way, so that's PSVR 2, and we've got Forza cockpit on the left. And weirdly, in cockpit camera, we seem to lose a lot of that dynamism and the roll that you have in the car. And I'm going to show you some real-world footage as well of what it's like to drive these cars on a track. And you can see the horizon left-hand side. It's just not really moving that much. The driver looks like they're using a D-pad or a thumbstick here. It's a quite jerky movements. And although a lot of you want to know what Forza's like on the wheel, the vast majority of people are going to be playing on a joystick, and you can see this is not as dramatic, it's not as visceral, it's not as engaging. I'm not feeling the weight transfer as much as I would in the third person camera. Now because this appears to be a camera issue, I'm sure that can be fixed, but if I was just looking at the cockpit camera alone, I wouldn't be that as impressed with Forza. Look at the vistas and stuff, you can see all the detail. That's absolutely amazing at Mugello here, so I'm enjoying that. Looks like a little bit of drift as well. Broadly, I say that Forza has a bit more of an oversteery handling model. You feel that the tyres are sliding along the tarmac a little bit more, spinning up a little bit more, whereas Gran Turismo is very understeery. You're sort of like arcing like a skier, understeering around corners, trying to get a bit of oversteer if you can. That was very different at the launch of Gran Turismo 7. But great to see the side-by-sides here, and you make your mind up on the graphics. Very difficult to see the graphics here because we are looking at off-screen footage on the left-hand side. But again, you can see some balloons in the air, you can see some tents, some people. We're at the Nordschleife on the right-hand side, and I've driven the Nordschleife in real life. It's a living, breathing track, and you feel people there, but you just don't have any of that at the moment. Here's some footage, by the way, of me driving in real life, and you can see how I'm getting thrown around or sort of bucketed in the car, and you just don't really get that sensation in Forza. Obviously, we're saying that Forza won't have PSVR either. Obviously, it won't have PSVR, it won't have virtual reality, although on the PlayStation side, virtual reality is so expensive. You're talking £1,000 really for the whole setup with the PlayStation, pretty much. So yeah, it's very different propositions coming on. I think Forza are trying to go for this more accessible experience, where ironically Gran Turismo is probably going to drive better on the wheel. You can go for the VR experience. You can on a PS5 go up to 120 FPS. So Gran Turismo on a technical perspective is looking pretty good. But then Forza has the ray tracing in the race mode, and that's something Gran Turismo just I think is never really going to implement, because they need to give that parity on PS4 and PS5. We're now back to some third-person cockpit, third-person camera. I want to show you again, the car on the right-hand side is a modified car I'm driving in GT7, loads of power, Not a very good chassis, but again, it just looks like it has the suspension of like a Ferrari 488 GT3, whereas you can see the BMW left-hand side, how it's sort of squirreling around, and you feel like the car on the left-hand side has so much more power, and you're sort of trying to control it, and that's exactly what it's like to drive these cars in real life on a track. As I do a mad drift on the right-hand side, not very realistic, but yeah, I want to know your thoughts as well. Let me know in the comments what you're thinking right now with this insane footage from Forza Erwin. You know, look at the vista you have on the left-hand side versus what we see on the right-hand side. Obviously, so much glare you get in Gran Turismo. The lighting looking really nice in GT7 right now. Sunset at Spa, and having been to Spa in the sunset is exactly what it looks like. They have nailed it. On the left-hand side, we're back in the Audi RS5. And remember all of that bumping we were seeing with the Audi, and then the scrapes you see at the end. That, again, it's a bit more of a story that you have for your car. I feel like you feel more affiliated with your car. Whereas on the right-hand side, it's going to be very difficult to actually damage this car that I'm driving on the right-hand side. There's also 24 cars in the Forza race. There's only a maximum of 20 in GT7, often 16. That's a big difference. And I just wonder if the ray tracing is going to add a lot of kind of added realism. Have a look at the glare there on the left-hand side. That is much less glare you get on the tail light than you would get in GT7. And it just looks like, from the off-screen footage, the lighting is absolutely insane. Remember, go and ask Forza Erwin for his opinion, because he was there and he saw this with his own eyes. We're kind of getting his shared footage here, but by all accounts, people are saying that Forza is looking really, really, really good at the moment. There's been some work done on the build or something, or we're finally seeing what Forza's capable of. Ultimately, I think it's going to come down to the driving. Do you prefer having an oversteery model where things are less precise, it's less time trially, you can be less consistent, or do you prefer in GT7 when you can lap? You can do laps at Spa and you know, get to a point where you're lapping within 1/10, 2/10, because it feels like there's less variables. You let me know, really. Again, that BMW, I just want to show you, you know, the car on the right-hand side probably has more power because it's a ridiculously powerful car. Even to say I'm having to run TC on to control it. But on the left-hand side, it just feels more exciting. So is that more on the Cade side of Simcade? Is GT7 actually more on the simulator side? We thought earlier on that Forza might try and go for that more simulator market, do driver swaps, do endurance races, but I think it's clear to see that they are a bit more going for the Cade side. And interesting to see this footage here. I want to know what you think, so you let me know in the comments. Are you more impressed by this Forza Motorsport footage? Let me know. I can't wait to hear from you. Feel free to subscribe as well if you're enjoying this analysis of Forza as we get closer to release. And I will see you all. I'll see you next time.